Hey, what's going on out there? It's GW coming to you live once again or on demand on your YouTube channel. Hey, today I want to talk about this movie called Overlord. As you can see, here's the cover of it, and this is a pretty badass film. If you like horror and action mix. If you don't, you might want to stray away from it, but this is a very, very cool film, and it is directed by Julius Avery, and it's produced by J.J. Abrams. Now, the plot of this thing is very, very simple to follow. Basically, on the eve of the D-Day invasion, a group of ragtag paratrooper army service guys and girls, well, I'm sorry, guys, are supposed to take down a radio tower in France or Europe. They're not really clear, but being Normandy, I'm thinking, hey, if my history's off, sorry, guys. Now, when the movie first starts, there is incredible action sequences all over the place. You got a plane blowing up. You got paratroopers jumping out of this shell of a plane. You got bullets whizzing past you, and this thing sounds pretty freaking awesome on a home theater system. So if you have one, you might want to check it out. The the action is so intense that really you don't get a chance to breathe for about a 10-20 minute period. So it reminds you of all these Hollywood shootouts. The story takes a really wicked turn. I would say not even midway point through. Well, in the middle of the movie, I guess. This is a short movie, actually, and it runs pretty fast. So once you're into it, I mean, it takes off. The plot of the movie is pretty interesting. Basically, the Nazis, and this is something out of a Resident Evil game, the Nazis are making a serum that can make a dead person become the ultimate fighting machine. That being said, these guys stumble onto it. In fact, Bokeem Woodbine is in here. If you guys know who he is, he was on the movie Dead Presidents. If you don't know who he is, I suggest you check that out. I also want to take a time right now before I continue this review and apologize for the last review I did, the Bohemian Rhapsody. I actually had my finger over the speaker and I muffled it, so I want to apologize. I thought it was a good review until I heard it a couple of days later and I was like, oh crap. However, one person told me that it sounded pretty good, so I got a little bit of good reviews for it. So thank you. Even though we have technical difficulties down here in the studio, at least, y'all are cool about it. But anyway, back to the film. So basically what happens is you find out, like I said, the Nazis are experimenting in serum and this and that. And it's something, like I just said, out of a Resident Evil game. What makes this film stand out to me is it's basically a giant B movie with a huge budget. But notably, the gore effects and the makeup is incredible for this film. There is a German commandant, you see him standing at the lower center of the DVD, who gets half of his face blown off, and in true, evil fashion, injects himself with the serum, and basically, turns into a hulking monster that could be in a Resident Evil game, guys. I'm not going to lie, and I wish they would put this dude in there because he looks wicked. I mean, half his face is blown off. The makeup effects are pretty good, and they look pretty realistic, too. That being said, the one thing that I did not like about this film is that you didn't get a hint on what the Germans were doing. You kind of fell into this thing, and it was one of those deals, guys, where you either liked what was going on and rode with it, or you said, okay, this is BS, and you left. The other thing that isn't clear is if there's going to be a sequel. At the end of the film, I'm not going to ruin the ending, but the climax of the film is pretty cool, and it's pretty wickedly gory done. My wife actually got up and saw, I would say, the last 15-20 minutes of this, and she was disgusted. She was also asking me what happened in the beginning, which shows this movie it really works in that capacity. It's a guy movie, and basically, like I said, the action's pretty cool. what I didn't like about it, like I just said, they didn't really go into why the Germans were doing this. I guess they wanted to create the master race. And if you go into this movie thinking about that, it makes kind of sense. Kind of a little bit of a sense. If you don't, hey, run with it. It's something out of a video game. The ending does leave room for a sequel. You could have, another movie, because I'm sure that the Nazis are not going to stop and film them. They're going to keep going. I mean, if you look back at Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Nazis were after that. If you look at, all through pop culture, the Nazis were after the Lost Ark. You have the Nazis that were, kidnapped B.J. Blazkowicz. If you don't know him, you should check out Wolfenstein, the original Wolfenstein, not the remakes the PS4 has and the Xbox One. I'm talking about Wolfenstein. The old 8-bit pixelated stuff. You should check that out. You have, the Nazis in this film. They're always doing something that's evil and underhanded, is my point. They're always painted as the bad guys. That being said, there's no real big star in this film. There's no actor that I, really know except Bokeem Woodbine. But like I said, even though it lacks the star power, the performances by these guys and girl is pretty good. In fact, there is a scene with a girl who you meet shortly after the, big explosion opening sort of action sequence, who becomes a helper, and things get heated in the third act of this film when the Germans take her baby, which is why the guy got his face shot off. You should check it out. But she's pretty wicked. And in one memorable action sequence, she wields a flamethrower, and she's pretty good at it. So Overlord might not appeal to everybody because it's not straight horror and it's not straight action. It's a twisted roller coaster ride with both of them intertangling in the middle. I really like this film because it was different. It wasn't the same old slash, hack, and kill, and it wasn't your standard platoon military style action film. So I would say if you have any interest in it, check it out and definitely give it a whirl. It has, it's your standard, it has your profanity sprinkled through it, obviously. It's got the gore effects. And the people that play the paratroopers are very, very good. I just hope they go on to do bigger and better things. And the girl that was in this was incredible as an action heroine. You never really suspected her of, stepping up, but she did. And also in the beginning, I want to intertwine. This is a movie within the first 45 minutes that unless you hit the pause button, I wouldn't leave the room, because there is a 5-second or 10-second snippet of what's going on in this woman's house in one bedroom you're really not supposed to see. It ties into the experiments the Germans, are carrying out. But I do hope J.J. Abrams returns to this and makes a sequel. I just hope that they do too, and that's it. And I want to interject something here. I remember seeing the previews for this, and even at the previews, you really didn't know what you were getting into with this film. But being as the D-Day invasion and the whole 9 yards, it's pretty damn entertaining. So, check out Overlord. It's a pretty slick little film, like I said. But, it's not going to appeal to everybody, which is fine, and that's great, because movies, some movies aren't for some people. I mean, But let me know what you think, and I think it was slick work, especially from an underrated cast. The makeup effects, as I cannot tell you enough, looked really, really wicked. And I'm telling you, this German Commandant, when you see him, you're going to think Resident Evil right off the bat. If you haven't played any of them, I suggest you check out the Monsters of Resident Evil. Check that out on YouTube, or the Bosses, and you'll see this guy belongs right with them. So, that's my review of Overlord, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And I just want to say, I'm sorry for being away for a little bit. We've had a couple issues in the house and this, that, and the other thing, but I'm glad people are still checking out my stuff. I'm glad people are still digging my stuff. I just am sorry that sometimes you guys have to wait, that I don't get a chance to do these as regular as I would like. So check it out, and basically, it's been a blast doing this review, and I ain't done by any means. So, like I said, give Overlord a shot. It's not J.J. Abrams' best produced work, however, we'll put it in the top 3. Because, like I said, it's a fun ride. It's like a video game come to life. That's my review. And like I said, man, you keep watching them. I'll keep making them as we fade to black.